Thank you for joining this lesson. Today we shall be discussing the Mokasa 2 joint examination. Those who don't know Mokasa, it's a joint examination done by Moi Girls Eldoret, Moi Kabarak, and Sacho High School. So we're going to discuss the paper 1, section 1. We've already covered the paper 2, both section 1 and section 2. And for the paper 1 now, we start with the section 1. As we continue discussing this paper, please be reminded that we have our very serious programs. Actually, we are doing a NEC program for the candidates. So the candidates that have enrolled to this particular program are being facilitated by NEC examiners, and they are able to know the tips that they need to be having in their fingertips as they approach the examination season. We've already covered the humanities actually. Yeah, started with the humanities, and you can be sure that in the second week of this program, which is starting on 17th, the second week of this particular program, we shall be doing the core subjects. So we'll be doing mathematics, the two languages, chemistry, and physics. So what has already been covered is biology and the humanities, and also business studies will be covered this week. So you can be sure that as we wait for the second week of the same program, it shall be great, it shall be heavy. You can reach out to us through the number which is on the board so that you get enrolled to our programs and you also happen to benefit. One thing I've been telling the learners is that I envy the kind of privileges that you people are enjoying. We didn't have such programs during our times, but now information is all over. You just need a strategy to access every information. You just need to know what you need to be knowing at a particular time. So we are bringing you the best. Those who are in the program already are appreciating the kind of facilitators that we are gathering. So please do not hesitate. Enroll to our program and all shall be well. We have the terms clearly described here. And as I've been promising my followers, is that we shall also be having guidance and counseling sessions. Yeah, guidance and counseling sessions. So through the organization, we have also come up with guidance and counseling sessions, and I'll be privileged to host this Friday, the 14th of August, to host one and only Sir Alex Kipruto, who is a teacher at Alliance High School and has been a mentor for long. He's also the CEO and founder of Abasanda Foundation. So this gentleman is going to lead us through a topic that goes by the name managing peer pressure. So enroll again for this great program. Actually, those who are already in our program here for academics, they shall be enjoying the mentorship for free. But those that are going to enroll for the guidance only, we're going to only enjoy the guidance and counseling session. If you are in our program, the guidance and counseling session comes for free. But those that are interested in the guidance only, we are charging 500. So join us in our impactful, interactive, and transformative sessions. Our till number is here. You can use that till number. Then you chat me on WhatsApp through this number, 070415 3366. Through that, we're going to partner in a very great way. So I wish you well as you continue pursuing excellence in your academics and also in life generally. So do not forget to join us for these powerful sessions. It shall be in the evening, that is 7:30 p.m. Exactly 7:30 p.m. The guest has already confirmed that he has bookmarked that particular time and date for us, 14th August 2026. Please do not be left out. Abasanda Foundation is one of the great speakers that we have in our country. So you may reach out, and I'm sure you cannot regret joining our programs. Number one, without using a calculator or mathematical tables, evaluate 16 plus 8 divided by the square of negative 5 multiplied by 25. Then out of negative 2 multiplied by 9 minus 3 plus 8. Can we work out the numerator first? Just as I've been advising you people. The numerator first. You can check in the brackets. It's just a square of 5, making it a positive 25. So it's like we're having now 16 plus 8 divided by, this is a 25 multiplied by 25. When you square a negative number, the negative cancels because to square is like you're multiplying a number by itself. So multiplying negative 5 by negative 5, that's a negative by a negative. It changes to positive. Now, after that, we can talk about the division because we are following the acronym BODMAS to assist us in ordering our operations. Brackets, we don't have off. Now we check the division. It means now we are having 16 plus 8 divided by 25, then multiplied by 25. You see that? So there are people who will make a mistake of multiplying the 25s first. It is division that comes first. And through this, you can see that the 25 shall cancel out. So we now talk about 16 plus 8. And you shall settle at 24. So that is how you're supposed to organize your work very decently. Can we check the denominator? And from there, we shall be now combining. At the denominator, we can work out negative 2 multiplied by, we deal with whatever is inside the brackets now. We're having 9 minus 3 plus 8. Can we deal with addition first, such that we have a negative 3 plus 8, giving us positive 5. So 9 plus 5. So when we are having negative 3 plus 8, you're supposed to understand that every number should be accompanied by the sign behind it. So if it's a 3, this is not 3, it's a negative 3. So dealing with the positive here, it's negative 3 plus 8, making it a positive 5. Negative 2 into 14, making this one 28 with a negative. So you add 28 with a negative at such a point. And through that, we now in a position to combine the numerator and the denominator. So we can let the combined numerator and denominator now be here, 24 out of a negative 28. Now with this, we can simplify out. I think 4 is common, yeah? Remember, with a negative, the answer will be negative. When you divide by 4, 24 by 4 will give us exactly 6. And 28 by 4 will give us exactly 7. So negative 6 over 7 becomes our final simplified answer. Our final and simplified answer. So that is where we are. And that is the final answer in number 1. If you're getting something, type yes, I'm learning. Remember to comment. Remember to let us know where you're watching us from. Which school are you representing? Be proud of where you come from. Remember also to subscribe to this platform, as I was telling you that we are beyond 97,000 subscribers. We are beyond 97,000. And remember, the Silver Creator Award is given at the first 100,000. So through your support, by subscribing, by liking, by commenting, we shall be in a position to earn the Silver Creator Award. Remember to invite your friends to Shifting Grades Online School. Those who are speaking about Shifting Grades Online School, they are doing us a very great favor. Number 2, a piece of land is to be divided into 40 acres, 48 acres, 28 acres for farming, and leave 7 acres for grazing. Determine the smallest size of such a piece of land. Now, look at the information carefully. You know, this is application of factors. You can see this is 40, this is 48, this is 28 acres of land, and there is a bigger land now to be divided into these portions. Meaning that if it's a bigger land being divided, then 40, 48, and 28 are factors of such. They are factors of such uh, a great land, meaning that we need now a multiple of everything here. We need a multiple of all these. So we need the LCM of 40, 48, 28. So we need the LCM of all these numbers so that we may get the greatest number. Okay, the least number, which can be divided by both of them and without a remainder. Both of them and without a remainder. So we can pick the least prime factor, which is 2, to give us 20, to give us 24, to give us 14. Again by 2 to give us 10, 12, and 7. 2 again, 5, 6, 7. 2 once again, 5, 3, 7. These are prime factors. Therefore, 5, 3, and 7 must appear so that we get 1, 1, 1. They are all prime factors. Therefore, now the LCM shall be 2 power 4. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 5 is appearing once. 3 is appearing once. 7 is appearing once. So we can now find the LCM. 2 power 4 is exactly 16. So 16 is being multiplied by 5, by 3, and by 7. Giving us exactly 1680. So the land that is going to be divided is measuring 1680 acres. But now read an extra information here saying that and leave 7 acres for grazing. So if 7 acres is supposed to be left after this subdividing, then it means that apart from getting the multiple of all these numbers, then you know this is the number that is exactly divisible by this. But now we want not an exactly divisible, but a number such that after exactly dividing, there is a remainder of 7, meaning that now the smallest land shall be 1680, and we add 7 so that it becomes 1687 acres of land. You see, when you add 7 now, it means instead of being exactly divisible by 40, divisible by 48, divisible by 28, instead of being exactly divisible by all this, now the 7 has been added so that it may serve as a remainder. When you divide, you get 1680, remainder 7, like that. So there will be always a remainder of 7. That is why we are now adding. When applied in numbers, you'll be told that when a number or a number n is such that when divided by 40, 48, and 28, there is always a remainder of 7. Find the least such number. You hear that information? So it can come in numbers, whereby you are told a number is, or when a number n is divided by 40, 48, and 28, there is always a remainder of 7. Find the value of n, meaning that you'll find the LCM, which is exactly divisible by the mentioned numbers. Then now you add the 7, so that now the 7 now will be serving as the remainder after every division. I hope we are together in number 2. If we are together, type, yes, I'm learning. We advance to number 3. In number 3, the instructions are telling us that a watch which loses half a minute every hour was set to read correct time at 05:45 hours on Monday. Determine The time in 24-hour clock system, the watch will show the Friday of the same week at 19:45. At 19:45. Therefore, we can check the number of hours first that are being involved between 05:45 and 19:45 Monday all the way to Friday, the same week. So from Monday to Tuesday, from Monday, actually, let me do this. From Monday, which is the time is 05:45, all the way to Tuesday, the same time, all the way to Wednesday, the same time, all the way to Friday, Thursday, sorry, the same time. Then Friday, the same time. Then now we shall go to Friday, 19:45. So we are having 24 hours here, 24 hours from Monday 05:45 to Tuesday the same time. Is an interval of 24 hours, again 24 hours, again 24 hours, again 24 hours. Then now from Friday 05:45 all the way to 19, there is now an interval which is not 24 hours there. So we subtract these. I'm getting 1400, so 14 hours. There is an interval of 14 hours, meaning that now total time in the interval, total time interval between Monday 05:45 all the way to Friday 19:45, the same week, shall be 24 hours times 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 intervals of 24. Then we add the 14 hours. So the total time interval, 24 by 4. Then we add 14. I'm getting exactly 110 hours. So there are 110 hours involved within those days and time limits. After this, can we start now talking about the time lost? You know, this watch is losing half a minute in every hour. So how many minutes lost? Minutes lost. Minutes lost shall be half a minute times the number of hours, because it's half a minute in every hour. So half a minute multiplied by half a minute multiplied by. So it will have lost 55 minutes. In every 1 hour, the watch is losing half a minute. So how many half minutes do we have? How many half a minute do we have? Half a minute. So half times the number of hours, because in every hour there is a half lost, half lost, half lost, like that. Or you could still have said that these are 30 seconds in every hour. So the number of seconds lost will be 110 times 30 seconds. And after getting the seconds, you will still divide by 60 to get minutes, which means at the end of the day, we are settling at the same half. So it's the same. 55 minutes will have been lost. Now, the correct time is 19:45. But this watch has lost 55 minutes. So you subtract 45 minus 55, it is not possible. So subtracting time requires a lot of attention. You're also not supposed to use a calculator subtracting time. Like, how will you type in a calculator this? So you have to borrow an hour, which is equivalent to 60 minutes. So it's like now we are remaining with 18 on the hours side. And now on the minutes side, we've borrowed an hour, which is 60, and we're already having 45 minutes. So we're having 105 minutes. Then we subtract now the 55 here. So it shall be 105 minus 55, we get 50 on the minutes side, then this remains 18. So the time of the day that the watch is going to be reading shall be 1850 hours, which is exactly determine the time in 24-hour clock system. Oh, I wanted to give the time in a 12-hour clock system, but I've just observed the instructions that it is very strict. We will leave the answer in 24-hour clock system. That is now the final answer. Questions on time are becoming very common. You better be very careful with them. When subtracting time, please be very serious. You get something in number 3, type yes, I'm learning. Yes, I'm learning. To the setters of Mokasa, Mr. Nzioki, Kina Nyikuri, Kina Juma Simiu, we appreciate you guys from Moi Girls Eldoret, and we continue honoring you. Remember, in our sessions in this great program, mathematics will be handled by actually 2 of the facilitators, setters of Mokasa, 2 of the facilitators, and they are also markers in neck. So you better join us and receive the best tips that you need to be having for you to succeed at the national examination level. Our number remains 070415 3366 as described in the poster. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we shall also be hosting a very great counselor from the Alliance High, that is Alex Kipruto, who is also the CEO Abasanda Foundation. Please join us and receive your portion. The topic remains managing peer pressure. Time 7:30 p.m. exactly. This is on the 14th of August 2026 for junior school and senior school students. You cannot be left out. We are only charging 500 per student. The till number is already displayed here, 497742. Then after sending your facilitation fee, you just chat exactly on WhatsApp 0704 153366. Remember, those who are in our program, those who are in our academic program will be enjoying the guidance and counseling sessions for free. Then there is another great speaker who will be facilitating the Friday of 21st program, and I shall also be unveiling the topic that he shall be handling. So please do not be left out. Join us and get the best. We are organizing the best programs ever. This is also what shall be continuing in our other holidays. Whenever we have an academic program, we shall be spicing it with a lot of guidance and counseling. We know the kind of learners that you're dealing with. We know the kind of a generation that we are handling, and you need a lot of modeling. You need a lot of advice. You need a lot of directions. Therefore, join us and get your piece, get your portion. You cannot remain the same after interacting with Sir Alex Kipruto. I will be here to moderate the meeting, and I'm already convinced that this one shall be the greatest. So please do not be left out. Are we looking at number 4 together? Now form the 3 inequalities that satisfy the region are given. Allow me handle this question with a lot of expertise. You know, I am sure I've presented this topic for long. When you go through our paper once, you discover that it's among the commonly evaluated. And actually, grade 9 learners also need to know how to make inequalities when the borderlines have already been plotted, like in our case here. Therefore, you can allow me start with there is equation, there is L1, L2, and L3. So we can handle them in that order. 1, we remember that the borderline has been plotted, so there is an equation to represent every borderline. Before we determine the inequality, there is already a borderline. The borderline is a straight line equation. So we find straight line equation. That is a form 2 concept. Finding a straight line equation. So with L1, You remember this, guys? Do you remember this? The general equation of a straight line. Do you remember this? Whereby this is the gradient or other the slope. Then this one is the y-intercept. The y-intercept. So the two constants should be interpreted that way. Now I'll use this general equation to find specific equation for what has already been plotted. Look at line 1. Look at line 1. For us to find gradient in line 1, one thing that you're supposed to recognize with line 1 and also line 3, this one, line 1 and L3, is that they are having positive gradients depending on how they are sloping. Therefore, you will allow me extract the gradient for line 1. Just write gradient for line 1. Gradient for line 1 shall be, and also C for line 1. C is the y-intercept. Line 1 is passing at -1. So the y-intercept is a -1. What about the gradient? So I identify two fixed points along the line. From this point, for example, to this point. Those are 2 points. Instead of reading the coordinates, allow me show you these. Because gradient is change in y out of change in x. How many units on the y? This is only 1 unit. From this point to this, vertically we have 1 unit out of. Horizontally, how many units do we have? 1, 2, 3. And we are moving in the positive direction. So 3 units, and upwards only 1 unit. Therefore, this is a third. So the gradient is a third, meaning that the borderline for the first equation can now be written as y equals to, instead of m, a third x, instead of c, a -1. So we are already having our equation. Now, with the equation like that, we need now to identify a coordinate within the required region so that we may establish the inequality that we shall be having here instead of the equal sign. So we can work with a coordinate that is within the required region. And because it is within the required region, then we can apply it for all the inequalities. Can we choose a coordinate like this? Coordinate 1, 1. So let's use 1, 1. Yeah, we can use 1, 1. Where there is y, we fix 1. And on the other side, where there is x, we are also fixing 1. So it's like we are having a third times 1 minus 1, making it 1 and -2/3. So how is 1 related to 2/3? That is the comparison you're supposed to be making. How is 1 related to -2/3? 1 is greater. If 1 is greater than -2/3, then the symbol to use at this point is greater than. So now the inequality becomes y greater than. Something else to observe is that the line is a complete line, not dotted. So meaning that or equal to should be inserted there. A third x minus 1. This is now the inequality for L1, already established. Can we proceed to L2, which is a dotted line, meaning that we shall work with either strictly greater than or less than because of the nature of the borderline. Now, one thing we're supposed again to understand about the second equation is that, let me work on this side, is that, okay, we'll find the gradient, but discover that the constant is the y-intercept, which is a +4. The line cuts the vertical axis at 4. Because we said with the general equation, the value of c should be the y-intercept. Then the gradient for line 2 shall be, it is already a negative gradient. So we identify 2 fixed points from this point all the way to this one. Therefore, we need to identify, and I've said according to the nature of the slope of line 2, it is having a negative gradient. So we identified the vertical units. The vertical units are 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 units out of the negative. You know, on the X, we are moving now on the reverse direction, meaning that we introduce a negative here. How many units on the X? 1, 2, 3. 3 units. So we have a gradient of negative 4 over 3 for line 2, meaning that the equation for line 2 equals to negative 4 out of 3x plus 4, the y-intercept. Yeah, plus 4, which is our y-intercept. Now, can we use the same coordinate to establish the inequality? The same coordinate is 1, 1. So where there is y, we fix 1. Where there is x, we also fix 1. So 1, then on the right-hand side, we're having negative 4 out of 3 times 1, and we add 4. This is 1. Then negative 4 out of 3 plus 4 will give us 2 and 2/3. Meaning that 1 is a value which is less than. 1 is less than whatever we are finding on the right-hand side. So the right inequality shall be less than. So y is less than negative 4 out of 3x plus 4. We have the inequality for L2. Inequality for L2 has been established. We don't have to include or equal to, following the fact that the borderline is a dotted line. A very good question. Can we advance now to line L3, the borderline L3? For the borderline L3, look at it carefully. It's already having a positive gradient and a y-intercept at 0.4. Yeah, it's cutting the y-intercept at 4. Meaning that we know that for line 3, the y-intercept is a 4 already. What about the gradient for the line 3? So gradient M3 is equal to, gradient M3 shall be equal to, we identify 2 fixed points, any 2 fixed points, like from that point all the way to the y-intercept. So this way. Yeah, any 2 fixed points along the line, like that. So that we say, along the y-intercept, along the y, how many units? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 units. Along the x, how many units? You know, along the y, we've gone upwards, so it's a positive. And here we're also moving to the right-hand side. For 1, 2, 2 units along the x, meaning that the gradient is 2. So the equation is gradient 2 and vertical intercept 4. So this is now the equation. When we use the same coordinates, which we identified in the required region, coordinate 1, 1, to identify the nature of inequality that we shall use, where there is y, we put 1, and where there is x, also 1. So this is like 2 now times 1 plus 4. So we're having 1 and 6. 1 is definitely less than 6. So when writing the inequality now, it shall be y less than 2x plus 4. But what you can see is that L3 is a complete line. Therefore, we introduce or equal to at such a point. This becomes our inequality for line 3. The inequality for line 3. A very good question. Very, very good question in number 4. So you can simply identify the coordinates. You fix them in the general equation. You get your specific equation for the line. Then after getting the equation for the line, now you proceed to identify the inequality sample by picking one of the coordinates and to ensure that the coordinate that you're picking is within the required region, and you use it across. You can also use a different one for a different inequality, but you can still use one coordinate because it is within the required region for all the lines. That is how number 4 was supposed to be done. If you're getting something in number 4, please type, yes, I'm learning. Type, yes, I am learning. Number 5. Evans paid 180 shillings for a shirt after getting a discount of 10%. Now, the shopkeeper made a profit of 20% on the sale of the shirt. Calculate percentage profit the shopkeeper would have made if no discount was allowed. One thing I'm learning is that Evans is paying 180 shillings for a shirt, and this is after a discount. So I'm wondering where are these shirts that are costing 180? That must be very interesting. Somebody to plug me. 180 for a shirt in this generation. Okay. So I hope Evans is a very old person who bought this shirt around 1997. Now, getting to the question, look at this. 180 is a result of a discount of 10%, meaning that you can get the marked price. The marked price. So we'll say that 90%, because marked price is always 100. What about 100%? Assuming a discount was not allowed. Assuming a discount was not allowed. How much would have the shirt been sold? 180 by 100 out of 90. So if it were not for the discount, then Evans would have paid exactly 200. Evans would have paid exactly 200 Kenya shillings. Something else that you're supposed to ask yourself is that the shopkeeper made a profit of 20% on the sale of the shirt. So after selling at 180, there is 20% profit made by the shopkeeper, meaning that the shopkeeper still did not go a loss. So it means that the value 120%, because there is a profit, is equal to 180. This is the cost price plus the profit. That one amounts to 180. 180 Kenya shillings. How about the cost price? How about the cost price? It's now 100%. What about the cost price? How much did he pay for the shirt? In other words, 180 times 100 out of 120. So the amount the shopkeeper paid for the shirt, because when the shopkeeper sells at 180, there is a profit of 20. It means 180 equals 120%. What about 100? The amount he acquired the shirt at. This is giving us exactly 150. So the shopkeeper, maybe on wholesale prices, acquired the shirt at 150. Now, this particular shopkeeper marked the shirt at 200, but gave a discount. That's why they sold at 180. Now, assuming there was no discount, what would have been the profit? The profit would have been different. Assuming there was no discount, they would have sold it at a profit of 50 Kenya shillings, meaning that percentage profit shall be the profit out of the buying price. The shopkeeper paid 150 to acquire the shirt. So this way, we shall be able to get the percentage profit that the shopkeeper would have made if it were not for the discount. If it were not for the discount, that would have been 33 and a third percent, or rather 33.33%. So this is now the profit. This is the amount of the profit, or the percentage profit the shopkeeper would have made. It's good for you to be very careful with questions on commercial arithmetic, because rarely will it miss. In any examination, you are supposed to expect questions on commercial arithmetic. If it's paper 1, we expect commercial arithmetic 1. That is profits, losses, and discounts, as you've seen. We also have commission, and we also have currency exchange rates. That is paper 1. Then paper 2, you're also supposed to exchange to expect commercial arithmetic 2, whereby we deal with simple interest, compound interest. We deal with hire purchase. We deal with what we call appreciation, depreciation. We deal with taxation. So you also be very careful when expecting paper 2. You prepare for commercial arithmetic. Otherwise, that's how number 5 was supposed to be approached. If you're getting something, type yes, I'm learning. Can we check number 6 together? Solve for x in the equation 12, that's 2, sorry, 2 power 2x minus 1 multiplied by 16, 2x minus 1 equals to 1. We're supposed to apply some laws of indices so that you may work out a question like number 6. One thing that you're supposed to know is that we're supposed to put composite numbers to a common base depending on the equation. Therefore, we know that 16 is equivalent to 2 power 4. Now, if that is so, then we're supposed to say in this expression, this is 2 power 2x minus 1 multiplied by 2 power 4. Now, there is already an existing power here. So everything in that power should multiply by 4. So we shall be having 2, then 2x minus 1 multiplied by 2. This is 8x minus 4. This is equal to 1. Remember also, there is what we call the zero index, whereby we say any base, according to the laws of indices, any base raised to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Anything raised to power 0 becomes 1. Then if that is so, it shall imply that instead of 1, we can introduce the same base that has been used in this question by saying 2 power 2x minus 1 multiplied by 2 power 8x minus 4 is equal to 2 power 0. After that, we can apply the first law, which we call the multiplication law of indices, that says when you have a base raised to a given power, multiplied by the same base to a different power, you solve this one by simply taking the base and you add the powers. You add the 2 powers, the multiplication law of indices. So on the left-hand side, applying that, we shall be having 2 to the power of 2x minus 1 plus 8x minus 4. This is equal to 2 power 0. That's equal to 2 power 0. Now, at that point, we can now equate the powers because we have fully applied the laws that were supposed to be applied. So we can say that now the powers are also equal. Or let me group terms together first. 2 raised to the power of, is that 10x? Then minus 5 because of -1 and -4. This is equal to 2 power 0. So we can now equate the powers. 10x minus 5 being equal to 0. 10x being equal to positive 5. And the value of x becoming 5 over 10 because you have to divide by 5 both sides. 5 over 10 changes to half. Remember, half can also be written as 0.5. So the final answer, which is our value of x, is exactly half. A very good question in number 6, evaluating indices. Evaluating indices. Can we check number 7, ladies and gentlemen? Number 7, okay. In number 6, are we together? Type yes, we are together, if that is the point. And then we proceed to number 7. Remember to subscribe. There are those that are joining us late, and we invite you to subscribe to this great platform. Subscribe to Shifting Grades Online School, and all shall be well. Number 7, the mass of 12 similar music books and 8 similar biology books is 14.4 kilograms. Now, the mass of 4 such music books and 6 such biology books is 6.8 kilograms. Find the mass of 1 music book and the mass of one biology book. Okay. This question is evaluating on simultaneous equations. Can we let the mass of a music book to be M and that of a biology book to be B? So 12 books, each weighing M, plus 8 biology, each must be, should total to 14.4. That is equation 1. Again, we're being told that a 4 music, 4, the mass M, and 6 biology should be 6.8. So we have equation 1, we have equation 2. This is a simultaneous equations. We can apply any of the several methods of solving simultaneous equations. Crazily, we can apply the substitution. Yeah, let's try substitution. So from equation 2, 4m equals to 6.8 minus 6b. So can we say m equals to, you divide everything by 4. 6.8 divided by 4, we get 1.7 minus 6 out of 4, we get 1.5 times the value of b. Now, if this is what we get as m from equation 2, then we substitute in equation 1. When you express an unknown from one of the equation, you substitute the simplified expression in the other. So instead of m, equation 1 becomes 12. Where there is m, 1.7 minus 1.5, the value of b, plus 8b equals to 14.4. Can we open brackets? 12 by 1.7 becoming 20.4 minus 12 multiplied by 1.5, giving us exactly 18, the value of b, plus 8b, this is equal to 14.4. Grouping terms together, we are already having negative 18 and positive 8b. So that will give us negative 10, the value of b. This is equal to, we are already having 14.4 minus 20.4. We get exactly negative 6. Yeah, 14.4 and we subtract 20.4. So we get 6.0.6, exactly negative 6. To remain with b, we divide by negative. So 6 over 10 is 0.6. Then after getting the value of b, we can substitute here to get the value of m. M equals to 1.7 minus 1.5, the value of b. I'm using this simplified equation for m. So m shall be 1.7 minus 1.5 into 0.6, giving us exactly 0.8 as the final answer. So we can say that a music book is having a mass of 0.8 kilograms. Then a biology book is weighing or having a mass of 0.6 kilograms. So you see, that's how you are supposed to solve the simultaneous equations. Remember, you can also use elimination method. You can also use, there are many methods, the graphical method. You can also use what you call the matrix method. But now when working out a question like this, you observe time and you use the quickest method possible. That's why I've gone for substitution. If you're understanding something on substitution method, type yes, I'm learning. Type yes, I am learning. Number 8. Can check number 8 together. We told in number 8 that in the figure below, C is the center of the circle angle PQR equals to 112, just as you can see. We also told that PQ equals to 5.41 centimeters and QR 4.73 centimeters. Determine the area of the shaded region and take pi as 22 out of 7. Now, with a question like this, you're supposed to know that we are applying trigonometry 2, that is a solution of a triangle, to first identify the radius of this circle. Now, the radius of the circle can only be obtained when we apply the sine rule. Now, sine rule cannot be applied unless we have an angle and the opposite side. So we're going to start with the cosine rule first, whereby to get the opposite length PQ, the length here can be called small letter q. Then with P here, the length opposite, small letter p. With R at this point, small letter r. Then we're saying that when we take the length q and we square, we're supposed to get the same as p squared plus r squared minus 2 multiplied by p and r, then multiplied by the cosine of the angle at q. That is according to the cosine rule. So q squared, the q is unknown. This is equal to p squared, which is 4.73 squared plus r squared 5.41 also squared minus 2 into 4.73 5.41, the cosine of 112. Yeah, the cosine of 112. So q squared shall then be equal to 4.73 squared plus 5.41 squared. This is giving us 51.641. On the other side, we are subtracting what? I'm having 2 times 4.73 times 5.41, the cosine of 112. It becomes a negative 19.171841. It becomes a negative simply because the cosine of an angle greater than 90 should be a negative number. That's why minus everything here also becomes negative because of the cosine of 112. So you be very careful there to manage the two negatives. Very careful. So let me combine now the two. You remember this becomes an addition now. So we are adding the two values. We are adding the two values and we get 70.812841. To get the value of Q, we now obtain the square root. The square root is exactly 8.42. I'm using the accuracy that has been used in the values of length. Yeah, or for SF, you can have 15 centimeters. Now that we have the value of Q, we can now proceed to apply the sine rule and obtain the value of the radius of this particular circle. According to the sine rule, which will use the same angles and sides, if we take the value of r, which is a side, and we divide by the sine of the opposite angle r, we should get the same as when we take p, we divide by the sine of the angle at p, and we should also get the same as when we take q out of the sine of the angle at q, and these ratios will give us twice the radius of the circle where the triangle has been circumscribed. That is now the information you'll be having. This is according to the sine rule. That's according to the sine rule. The first one here was the cosine rule. This is the cosine rule. Therefore, at this point now, we can take Q, which has already been worked out, 8.415 out of the sine of 112. This is going to be twice the radius, 2r, twice the radius. Twice the radius. So we can now obtain the radius. We can obtain the radius. Radius will be, when we divide by 2 both sides, over 2 over 2, it will be 8.415 out of 2 comes here. We are dividing by 2, remember? To remain with r, we had to divide everything by 2. So let me compute this. Divide by 2 multiplied by the sine of 112. So I'm getting 4.538. 4.538 to 4 significant figures. So we are now having the radius of this particular circle. Now, for us to get is it the shaded or the unshaded? The shaded. We need the whole circle minus the triangle. Shaded becomes the whole circle minus triangle. Yeah, the whole circle, then we subtract the triangle, which is inside the circle, but unshaded. So area of the circle, which is usually given by pi r squared, is given by pi r squared, shall then be 22 over 7, according to the instructions, 4.538, and this should be squared. Yeah, we were told 22 over 7. So now we're using 22 out of 7 multiplied by 4.538 squared. This is taking us to 64.722. Square centimeters, triangle. We can use half AB, the sine of theta. When applying this formula, it means you are taking half, then you pick an angle whereby the two sides encircling it, the two sides making the angle are available. So the sides making 112 are here. So we use AB as the two sides. 5.41, 4.73, the sine of 112. Then you compute that. So we start with half multiplied by 5.41 multiplied by 4.73 multiplied by the sine of 112. We are getting 11.863. 11.863 square centimeters, meaning that now the shaded shall be, the shaded shall be 64.722, and we subtract 11.863. This now shall give us, me work out slowly and surely. It's good for you to be moderate in your speed whenever you are working out this. And whenever we make a mistake in our computations, find it very wise of you to just come to our inbox and tell us, excuse me, sir, you have made a mistake. So the answer to 4 significant figures shall be 52.86. Have we been given any instructions about the accuracy? Determine the area of the shaded region. They didn't give us the number of decimal places to leave our answer at. And for that reason, we are very accurate because we have maintained our 4 significant figures accuracy. A good question. That was our number 8. Very, very good question. Aha. If you're learning something on the solution of triangle, please type, yes, I'm learning. Now, can we check number 9? Can we check number 9? Uh-huh. In number 9, the question says that three towns, X, Y, and Z, are such that Y is 150 kilometers from X on a bearing of 060. The bearing of Z from X is 125 degrees. The bearing of Z from Y is 160 degrees. Using a scale of 1 centimeter represents 30 kilometers, show the relative positions of X, Y, and Z. Hence, find the perimeter enclosed by the three towns. A good question on scale drawings. A very good question on scale drawings. And I want us to work out the question just now. What you're supposed to ensure is that you're very accurate in your measurements. The first thing to work out, or the first thing to establish, is supposed to be the reference point. What is our reference point? According to the information, reference point. Are you listening to my language? Reference point. We told that Y is 150 from X on a bearing of from X. So the word from, it means X is our reference point. So with X, we can now relate where Y is on a bearing of 60. 060, this is a true bearing. True bearing means measured from the north and in the clockwise direction. So from the north, in the clockwise direction, what are we measuring? Exactly an angle of 60. So I identify 60 there and I produce my line. Accuracy is very key in a concept like this one. Accuracy is a very key thing. Trying to maintain accuracy. Just a minute. Want to be as accurate as you are, because I'm sure you're also doing the same question. You can actually work out the same question, then we compare values just to work it out. Then now using your compass again, you measure. You know, we told that the distance is 150, but now the scale is 30. So we need 5 centimeters to represent the 150 kilometers. So now we read 5 meters, 5 centimeters, that is. So that's where 5 centimeters is, like that. Then after establishing 5 centimeters, remember this is 60 degrees. Then you have already measured what? 5 centimeters. 5 centimeters. You should be in a position now to raise a very vertical compass at the same points. So now, look at that. So we have raised a compass and this becomes our point Y, like that. So we've already measured the bearing and the distance. Further instructions. What are further instructions saying? That the bearing of Z from X is 125. From X. So from X we measure. It's good to be very careful with the reference points. From X we measure 125. From the north again, 125. 125 shall be at that point. So we just produce the line. A very good one. We can just just produce that line without caring so much. Just produce the line because we are not given any distance. We are just given the instructions about the bearing. Again, we told this that the bearing again of Z from Y is 180. From Y, 160, that is, sorry, 160. So a bearing of 160 from Y. So you go to Y and you measure 160. You measure 160. So 140, 50, 60. 60 there. Then you now produce this line. You produce this line. Like that. You produce the line like that. So a bearing of 160 from Y, another bearing of 125 from X, where they intersect, that becomes our Z. That becomes our point Z. So we are having our point Z, and you're supposed to erect a very perpendicular compass there. That one is very necessary. You see now we have the relative positions. The relative positions have been indicated. After that, we told to find the perimeter enclosed by the three towns. So you can use your divider to lift this distance from Y to Z. Then you transfer it to the ruler. Y to Z, you pick the distance, transferring it to the ruler, you realize this is 7.9 centimeters. Now, this 7.9 centimeters can be multiplied by the scale for us to get the actual distance. So the actual distance is going to be 7.9. We multiply by 30. We're getting 237. We also check the other side. You pick the distance from X all the way to Z. You transfer it to the ruler. When you transfer it to the ruler and you measure, you realize this is 8.6 centimeters. The actual at that point shall be 8.6 by 30. 8.6 times 30, 258 kilometers. Meaning that now the perimeter enclosed, according to the actual distances, should be the first 150, where we wrote 5 here, plus 237, plus 258. Then now you use your calculator to add very carefully. 237 plus 258. Please make sure you try this question. Make sure you try this question and compare the accuracies. Remember, at the neck level, when this is being marked, we allow an accuracy of plus or minus 0.1 for the distances in centimeters. So this could have been 7.8 or 8.0. That means when you convert to actual distance, there is another error, which is also acceptable now after. Now, the error on actual distance depends on the scale. But here, from the scale diagram, it is plus or minus 0.1. When you get to the other side, we can have either 8.5 or 8.7. They are within the range. So we still award a mark for those values. And consequently, we follow through in their working of the perimeter, and we check whether they also get the same answer. Number 9 is one of the most wonderful questions. Are you getting something on bearing? You know, some people are used to bearing and distance being provided. This time around, you are being given 2 bearings. You're being provided with 2 bearings. So you're supposed to be very keen when working out such a question. Yeah, so we can now proceed. And if you're learning something in number 9, why don't you type, yes, I'm learning? Why don't you just type, yes, I am learning? Type yes, I'm learning. A very good question. Very, very good question. Number 10. Number 10. Uh-huh. Number 10, the question says that AB and BC are two sides of a regular polygon. Two sides of a regular polygon. Now, the size of angle CAB is 15 degrees. Calculate the sum of the interior angles of the polygon. We're supposed to interpret this question very carefully. You know, we told that AB and BC are two sides of a regular polygon. Regular means all the angles are the same interiorly and exteriorly. All the sides are also measuring the same. So that is the meaning of a regular polygon. So when we take this particular line, we can call it a AB, and we also connect the same to BC. To C. These are two sides, and they are regular, meaning that this side is the same as this one. You remember that? That is the meaning of a regular polygon. So the polygon continues. We don't know the number of sides, but it continues. If we add another point D, it shall be equal to what we are already having. But now, what is the angle that has been provided? That is the critical part of all this. The most critical part is establishing the angle that has been provided. The angle CAB. CAB means, look at this. CAB means, now we connect. CAB means this angle, 15. Now, if the two sides are equal, then it means we are also having another 15 here. So the angle at B, which is one of the interior angles, can now be found. The angle at B will be given by 180 minus 2/15, which is 150. So interior angle equals to 150 for this particular polygon. That is the interpretation that you needed to have. Reading the angle here very accurately, CAB 15. Therefore, it's not an interior angle, it's not an exterior angle. It's just an angle which you're supposed to analyze very carefully so that you may understand that the vertex B is having an angle of 150, and now that is the measure of interior angles. We all remember that when you take an interior angle, you add an exterior angle, you're supposed to get 180. Now, if this is so, then it means 150 plus a known exterior should be 180. The value of an exterior angle will be exactly 30 degrees. So we have the measure of an exterior angle at this point. If we have the measure of an exterior angle, ladies and gentlemen, we can all remember that the sum of exterior angles is usually equal to 360, regardless of the polygon. Now that these ones are equal, since it's a regular, the meaning of a regular polygon, it means when we take the number of angles, which is also the same as the number of sides, times the size of each exterior, we should get 360. Are we together at that point? Meaning that the number of sides then can be given by 360 out of the size of one exterior. 360 out of 30 will give us exactly 12 sides. Exactly 12 sides. Now, what is the question talking about? The question is talking about we calculate the sum of the interior angles of the polygon. So we are not yet at the answer. Sum of interior angles, 180, n minus 2. So 180, the number of sides, which has already been identified, times 2. So we're getting 1800 degrees. That is the sum of the interior angles. Because you can see, we already have the value of n. So 10 times 8, 10 times 180, we get exactly 1,800. degrees? A very good question in number 10. Very, very good. Actually, this one needs somebody to be very sharp. Very, very sharp. More so, the interpretation about the diagram sketching at this point. The diagram sketching at this point, so that you may establish the angle CAB there and understand the measure of one interior angle. Number 10 is really a great question. It is all my hopes that you people are learning something through number 10. If that is so, please type yes, I'm learning. Remember to tell us the school that you come from. Our comment section should be flooded with your good comments. Otherwise, thank you so much for following. Allow me also remind that those that are joining us late, we have very serious interactive classes here where you can use our number to reach out so that you get enrolled. I was telling our followers that the kind of neck facilitators that we are involving are very top-notch, excellent people, gurus, whereby they are giving you the tips that you need to know. And for the second week, we shall be having mathematics, we shall be having the two languages, we shall be having chemistry, and we shall be having physics. I've told you, some of the facilitators actually are setters of Mokasa. Setters of Mokasa, the people that have sat down to come up with a paper like this, they shall be facilitating in our program. So please reach out so that you book a slot. And remember, those that are already in our program will be enjoying these guidance and counseling sections still via Google Meet. You see, via Google Meet is very interactive. A Google Meet is very interactive. There you can ask questions. There you can respond to questions. You get to have a very ordinary interaction, though virtual, but a real classroom experience. So please do not be left out. Remember, in the guidance and counseling section, we are bringing on board a very powerful facilitator for the first session, which is happening on Friday of 14th August 2026. We shall be inviting Sir Alex Kipruto, who is a teacher at Alliance High School, and he's also the CEO and founder, Abasanda Foundation. We are hosting him for the first session, and he shall be handling managing peer pressure. So please do not be left out. We are opening this for senior and junior school students. Register with only 500 Kenya shillings. That is for the people that are not in our education program. If you are already in the one-on-one classes, this is a session which is brought to you to continue empowering you. And for the other week, we still have another very powerful speaker, which I'll be introducing as we continue. So do not be left out in our sessions. Use our till number, which is on the board, 49 777 42, so that you may book yourself a chance in our programs. Now, can we flow together to the next question, which is number 11? We read number 11 together. A straight line L1 passes through points A, 30, point B, 06. There was a typing error there. Then a point P, equidistant from X and Y axis, lie on line AB. Find the coordinates of P. Find the coordinates of P. Okay, this is another question again that requires the skill that I call diagram sketching. You see, diagram sketching is a concept which simplifies mathematical concepts. Imagine a student who was trying to attempt number 10 without trying to visualize this information, without trying to draw the two lines AB being regular, CAB being 15, without such interpretation of information into a diagram, it might be very tough for one to maneuver. Therefore, will you allow me now sketch number 11 for you? Allow me sketch number 11 for you. Just want to make it as simple as it is. You know, it's very simple, but you can't see the simplicity unless you sketch the information. Unless you sketch the information. Therefore, what are we having here? a line that passes through, this is we're talking about a 3, 0. So 3, 0 means at point A, that is a 3, 0. At point B, 0, 6. Coordinate 0, 6. So we can now have the line. Yeah, can have the line. That is how the line is passing. That's line AB. Then with line AB now, I want you to understand point P. Just understand point P very well. With point P, we're being told that P is equidistant from X and Y axis. Actually, this might be a concept on loci. If you remember loci very well, the locus of points equidistant from two given lines is when you bisect the two lines. Okay, the angle made by the two lines, you bisect it. Therefore, point P is passing through the origin and it is equidistant. Yeah, it's equidistant. That is how this is the locus of point P, or the locus of 4 points equidistant. So P is now the intersection. P is the intersection of this locus. This is supposed to understand this locus. This locus of points equidistant from X and Y axis. Locus of points that are equidistant from the vertical axis, the horizontal axis. It is a bisector of the angle made by the two axes. Therefore, now, one thing that you're supposed to know, we have only two lines. We have only and strictly two lines that are equidistant from such axis. That is, look at this. I want to bring the sketch up here. It's in the process of enlightening you. Let me just use this as y-axis, x-axis. So if two lines have to be equidistant from the x-axis, the line should be either this one, which is line y equals to x, or this one, which is line y equals to negative x. Those who remember reflection very well, they know that these are common mirror lines. Now, according to our information here, according to the nature of AB, this line, which is equidistant from the x-axis and the y-axis, this line is exactly line y equals to x. So our point P then, our point P shall be the intersection of the two lines. Line y equals to x meeting line AB. So can we find the equation of AB? We can start with the gradient. Gradient of line AB shall be change in y. So y 6 minus 0. Change in x, 0 minus 3. This is a 6 out of a negative 3, giving us negative 2. So with a negative 2 there, we can simply write our equation as y equals 2. Gradient, negative 2, multiplied by x. Then the vertical intercept, which is a 6. Yeah, the vertical axis is 6. That is now the general equation of the specific equation of line AB. Then this is meeting the line y equals to x, meaning that we have line 1, I'm having line 2, and I'm solving the two simultaneously. To solve the two simultaneously, I can use substitution. Where there is y, I substitute with x. So the first equation becomes x equals to negative 2x plus 6. The x can become positive on the left-hand side. So that negative 2 is positive. So x plus 2x, making it a 3x. How can we remain with x? We divide by 3 both sides. Over 3, 6 also over 3 to give us 2. Because at P, y equals to x, or because this is a long line, y equals to x, then the value of y shall automatically be also 2, meaning that the coordinate of P is 2, 2. The coordinate of P is 2, 2. So you're supposed to interpret this information very carefully, more so on the equidistance of the locus here. Locus of points that are equidistant. Locus of points that are equidistant from two given lines. You identify where the lines meet, then you bisect the angle made there. You get the locus of such points. But now that locus is intersecting with line AB, meaning that P is formed there. Then the concept of intersection of two lines, we are able to establish the equation of line AB, and we are also having the equation of the locus. So when you solve the two simultaneously, you get their point of intersection, which becomes the coordinate of P. A very good question in number 11. You can try a question in KCSE. I don't remember the paper very well, but it has been in KCSE, a question which requires exactly the same interpretation. Exactly the same. So that's how simple number 11 was. Type yes, I'm learning, if that is so. If you're getting something, type yes, I'm learning. Are we advancing together to number 12? Are we together at number 12? We can read the question together. Remember, you can pause your video to finish up your working. If you're working out something, you can just type. As we continue working out, you can pause the video first. If maybe I scroll the screen and you've not written something, you can pause your screen, you write, then you continue catching up. This is a video that you can even watch again and again. After we've discussed, you can get back. You can get back at a different time and you also revisit some of the concepts and the way we approached them. So the content is here and shall be here through the same link. So even the friends that are not following live, when you share the link with them tomorrow, they will still access the same lesson. Number 12. Now, the angle of elevation of the top of a tower from a point P on a horizontal ground is 23.61 degrees. The angle of depression from the top of the tower to another point Q on the same side as P on the horizontal ground is 35. I hope you are reading that information with me. And I've told you this is again an area which will require some diagram sketching. We have to sketch this information for us to understand what is happening. If the distance between P and Q is 6 meters and Q is closer to the foot of the tower than P, are we reading that? Calculate to 1 decimal place the height of the tower. Calculate to 1 decimal place the height of the tower. Let us first sketch this information. As I've been telling you, diagram sketching. Diagram sketching. We've been told that there is an angle of elevation to the top of the tower from point P. You see that? So can we have a horizontal ground here? A sketch, of course. That's a level ground. Then there is a tower here, vertical one. Then you should know that from point P, there is an angle of elevation. So this is where P is. An angle of elevation of 35, no, 23.61. More instructions are telling us that the angle of depression from the top of the tower to another point Q, which is on the same side as P on the horizontal ground, is 35. Therefore, supposed to know this. Angle of depression means this is how we are turning from this line of sight. We are turning through 35. turn through 35 so that you may see point Q now. So this is point Q, meaning that if we are turning through 35 at the top here, then there is also a 35 being left at the bottom here. It's good for you to know that with the two reference points, the angle of elevation from one point to the top of the other is equal to the angle of depression from the top one to the bottom one. This is what I'm meaning. I'm assuming I have 2 points, horizontal ground here. There is what you call line of sight or line of view, according to the principle that we call alternate angles, assuming this is at point X and this is at point Y. You see, the angle of elevation, this is the line of sight, the horizontal line of sight. This is also the horizontal line of sight. If we say that the angle of elevation of Y from X is theta, then automatically from Y, the angle of depression to X is also theta. Since the angle of depression found at this point is alternate to the angle of elevation at this other point. Therefore, if from the top of the tower to point Q, there is a depression of 35, then from Q to the top of the tower, there is an elevation of 35. That interpretation should stick to your mind, that angle of depression and angle of elevation are alternate. They are alternate from the reference points. Now, at that point, we can follow more instructions. We've been told again that the distance between P and Q is 6 meters. 6 meters like that. We're also being told that Q is closer to the foot of the tower than P. That is so obvious because the angle of elevation is now becoming bigger. We calculate now to 1 decimal place. So there is a known h at this point, and there's also another unknown distance at this point. So we can start now some expressions for h, whereby we can say that according to the first triangle here, according to the first triangle, we can apply trigonometry, whereby we shall say the tan of 35 is given by opposite, which is h, out of adjacent, which is x. From this, we can multiply both sides by x and remain with h being equal to x times the tan of 35. This is equation 1. Using the bigger triangle from point P, we can say that, let me subdivide my work here. We can say that the tan of 23.61 is equal to opposite length h out of the adjacent length. Now the adjacent will be equal to the whole of this length, the whole of this, which is 6 plus x, or x plus 6, the whole length like that. How will you remain with h? You multiply both sides by, this is tan 23.61. We multiply both sides by x plus 6. This is equation 2. Now that the two equations, equation 2, now that the two equations are giving us an expression for h, we can solve simultaneously by simply equating the two sides. Simply equating the two sides. So to equate these two sides, it means we need to have a x tan 35 being equal to, instead of h now, we are substituting with x tan 35. Or you simply equate because the two sides are giving us h, so they are equal. Would you allow me open the brackets and talk about x tan 35 equals to x, the tan of 23.61 plus 6, the tan of 23.61. At that point, we can group terms together. Actually, the terms with x can be grouped together. So we need the value of tan 35 minus, because we are taking this to the left-hand side now. So tan 35 minus tan 23.61. This is giving us 0.2631x. This is equal to 6, the tan of 23.61. This is becoming 2.6226. To remain with x, we can divide both sides by 0.2631, giving us exactly 9.968 meters. That is the value of x, meaning that we can find the value of h because we wanted the height to one decimal place. So the height will be x 9.968 times the tan of 35 according to the first equation, which is easier to work with. When I multiply this by answer multiplied by the tan of 35, I'm getting exactly 6.9797, and to 1 dp. This is a 9. So 9 can be increased to the next value. So it just has to make this one a 7 and this one a 0, and these are meters. So 7.0 meters. 7.0. 7.0. Because it was 6.9 and it's going to be increased by 0.1. You can't leave the decimal point. You can't say exactly 7 because of the one decimal place instruction. It becomes 7.0. A very good question in number 12 on the application of trigonometry in angles of elevation and depression. This is a good question. If you're learning something in number 12, type yes, I'm learning. Thank you. Can we check number 13, ladies and gentlemen? Can we check number 13? 13 is here. A plotted diagram. A plotted diagram, whereby we're being told that in the figure below, CD and AB are arcs of two concentric circles. Center O. Those are arcs. AB and CD, they are both arcs. Then OA is the same as OB and is the same as BC and is the same as AD and it's equal to 7. So 7, 7, meaning that this is also 7, this is also 7. All right. Very good. And that the perimeter of ABCD, that perimeter and closing there is equal to 40.4. Using pi as 22 out of 7, determine the size of angle AOB, the angle at the center. Let me call it theta like that. We know very well that the perimeter, and we analyze the figure we have. The perimeter is given by the arc AB plus the radius BC, okay, the length BC, plus the arc CD, plus the arc AD. Are we having the perimeter? Yes. 40.4. This is equal to length AB. How do we get the length of an arc? 2, okay, because it's an arc, not a complete circle, we can start with theta over 360, 2 pi times the radius, which is a 7, plus BC is 7, CD is an arc again. An arc, which is the same theta because the center is the same. 360 to pi, a radius of 14. Yeah, the radius there is 14 now. For the arc CD, the radius is 7 and another 7, so 14. Then plus DA, which is 7. Plus DA, which is 7. So we can talk about 40.4 equals to, we have 7 and 7 giving us 14 plus, when we compute these, we shall be having now 2 times 22 over 7 times 7. Just a minute. 2 times 22 over 7 times 7. Then we divide by 360. Let me give it as a fraction. It's 11 over 90 beta plus, we also work out this other part, 2 times 22 over 7 multiplied by 14. Then we divide by 360. We are getting exactly 11 over 45, the value of theta. So I've added 7 and 7. Then these parts I've already computed. Now the parts with theta, if I add them, remember 14 can be subtracted. 40.4, I might subtract 14. I'm getting 26.4. This is equal to 11 out of 90 plus 11 out of 45. This is giving me 11 over 30, the value of theta. How can we remain with the value of theta? We multiply both sides by 30 over 11. Yeah, both sides by 30 over 11. 26.4 multiplied by 30 over 11. I'm getting exactly 72. So the value of the angle at the center there is equal to 72 degrees. So you simply need to understand the meaning of perimeter all the way around. ABCD. It's a shape that we can't call a circle. It's not a sector. It's not a segment, but you can analyze it and start with an arc, the length of 7, another arc, the length of 7. Then you group terms together. You find yourself with the angle exactly 72. 13 is a good question. If you agree with me that the question has been solved properly, please type, yes, we are together. Yes, we are together. A good question, huh? A very, very good question. Can we check now the next question, which happens to be number 14? A translation maps a point P, which is 62, onto P prime, which is a 5, negative 4. Determine the translation vector. Determine the translation vector. One thing that you're supposed to know is that when we take a translation vector and we add an object, we usually get the image. Therefore, translation vector, if we can call it xy, when we add the object and we write it as a column vector, 6, 2, we're supposed to get 5, negative 4. Meaning that to remain with x, y, we should talk about 5, negative 4, and we subtract 6, 2. xy equals to the translation vector. 5 minus 6 will give us a negative 1. Negative 4 minus 2 will give us a negative 6. So this is now the translation vector which was involved. Negative 1, negative 6. A translation vector should not be written as a coordinate. It remains a vector in column form, a column vector like that. So we have our translation vector, part A, already solved. Can we check part B of the same question? In part B, the instructions say that a point Q prime is the image of Q. which is 4, 5. Under the same translation, find the length of P prime Q prime, leaving your answer correct to 4 significant figures. At this point, we need to find the coordinates of Q prime, whereby we say for us to get Q prime, we need translation vector plus the image. This is going to be 3. This is going to be, is it a negative 1? Yeah, minus 6. Minus 6 plus 5, we get a negative 1. A negative 1. So with this now, we have the coordinates of both P and Q. So P prime Q prime as a vector should be given by Q prime minus P prime, whereby we can assemble that. We are already having a P prime, yeah, 5, negative 4. Okay, we can start with a 3, negative 1, and we subtract 5, negative 4. This then shall be negative 2, and negative 1 minus a negative 4, it changes to a positive 4. So minus 1 plus 4. Minus 1 plus 4 like that. So this is now the vector whose length is supposed to be found. The length is also called the magnitude of a vector. And you can also be told to find. Can use symbols. Find. It means you find the length. So it is a concept which is supposed to be understood. They can choose to use symbols. So to get the length of P prime, Q prime, we are already having the vector. We need negative 2 squared plus 3 also squared. Then we take the square root. So we shall be working with the square root of this is 4 plus 9, giving us 13, the square root of 13. The most accurate answer actually is the third form that way. But now the examiner is giving us instructions. 4 significant figures. 4 significant figures will leave at 3 to give us 3.60555. We need 4SF, so we can now round it off. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 4th significant figure. The 0 here is significant because it is in between 2 significant values. Therefore, 3.60. And instead of 5 now, 5 will be increased by the other 5 here. So this becomes 6. That is the length, or rather the modulus, or rather the magnitude of the vector. The magnitude of the vector. A good question. Very, very good question. A very good question. Number 14. If you're getting something in number 14, type yes, I'm learning. Yes, I'm learning. Now we check 15 together. We check number 15 together. In number 15, the examiner tells us to simplify the expression. 8x squared minus 18 out of 4x plus 12x. 4x squared plus 12x plus 9. Right. We can start with the numerator, just as usual. As usual, we simplify the numerator, which is 8x squared minus 18. You see, 2 is already common to leave us with 4x squared minus 9. Then at this point, we can discover that this expression is not fully factorized. A difference of 2 squares. When we have a squared minus b squared, this is called a difference of 2 squares, such that we have a square root for a square root for the first part, a square root for the second part, whereby the simplified form of a difference of 2 squares is usually A minus B, A plus B. The two square roots, but with a minus and again with a plus. Any of the factors can start. It can be A plus B into A minus B. So here, it means we simplify now to have 2x minus 3, 2x plus 3. Now we have fully factorized the numerator. We pack our answer there. We proceed to the denominator. Then later we combine. Now for the denominator, we need a product which is equal to A times C. This is a 4 times 9, giving us 36. Then sum, which is equivalent to, this is B, so 12. We need two factors such that when you multiply the two factors, you get 36. When you add the two factors, you get 12. So this is 6 and 6. 6 and 6. So now with 6 and 6, we can replace 12x by saying we need 4x squared plus 6x plus 6x. Instead of 12, we split it to two factors are realized there, then plus 9. From the first two terms, I think 2x is common, so you factor it out. We are remaining with 2x plus 3. You add, what is common here? Only 3. If 3 is common in the last two terms, then you remain with 2x plus 3. Now, inside the brackets, we are having 2x plus 3. Outside the brackets, we are having 2x plus 3 also. This is what we call a perfect square. The expression is a perfect square. Now, with the two factorized forms now of the numerator and the denominator, with the numerator and the denominator, you can now talk about combined 2 into 2x minus 3, 2x plus 3 out of 2x plus 3, 2x plus 3. Anything common? Yes. You can see this factor and this one are the same. So we now remain with 2x minus 3, 2x plus 3, like that. So that is simply how we were expected to work out. It is now simplest. That is actually the simplest format. A very good question on quadratic expressions and also the difference of two squares, which is a concept that is supposed to be understood. A difference of two squares. Are we together in number 15? If yes, type yes, I'm learning. A good question. Now we can check number 16 together. Number 16. The diagram below represents a right pyramid of a square base of side 3 centimeters. The slant edge of the pyramid is 4 centimeters. Draw a net of the pyramid. So with a pyramid like this, to draw a net means you open up the solid until each face can be seen on its own. You know, with this, you can see even there are hidden edges. You can see some hidden edges because it is already 3-dimensional. So a net should become 2-dimensional such that every face can be seen. One thing that you need to identify is that there is a square base. Then we have triangular faces which are now sloping. That is what we shall be opening out now. So we need to draw the base first, which is a square-based 2 centimeters. A square base of 2 centimeters. Yeah. This is enough space. I was confirming the space. So we can measure from a point like this. This is point A. Is it labeled? Yes. Point A, 3 centimeters up to point B. 3 centimeters up to point B. Then now you raise perpendicular lines. Very perpendicular from point A and B. Let me measure using my protractor. I measure 90, and also at the other point, I measure 90. Yeah, like that. So I'll be able to raise a perpendicular line here, and also a perpendicular line at the other point like that. Then now, along the same lines, we can measure 3 centimeters. Can measure 3 centimeters. That point, 3 centimeters. At the other point, we can also measure 3 centimeters. Then now we join the marks. The marks of 3 centimeters, we join them like that. So now the base is A, B, C, D. So C and D. A, B, C, D. The base has already been drawn, which is a square. Then now we need to know that all these are 4 centimeters each. 4 centimeters, 4 centimeters, 4 centimeters. And how many are they? 4 of them. So 4 triangular faces attached to every side. On BC, 4 centimeters. On CD, 4 centimeters. On AD, 4 centimeters. On AB, 4 centimeters. So we need now 4 centimeters. 4 centimeters. There you make an arc using 4 centimeters. You make an arc using 4 centimeters like that. You make an arc using 4 centimeters, standing at B. Then standing at A, you also make other arcs, 4 centimeters to meet the first one. Yeah, an arc like that. So with AB, the vertex there should be V. So you can now join A to the intersection and also B to the intersection of the arcs. That becomes our point V. These are 4 centimeters. This is 3 centimeters. Can we do the same on side BC? Side BC. So standing at C, we can use 4 centimeters for an arc. Yeah, 4 centimeters for an arc. 4 centimeters for an arc. 4 centimeters to do an arc. Yeah, so we have an arc here. 4 centimeters standing at. Then now standing at B, we also use 4 centimeters to come up with another arc to cut the first one. Another arc to cut the first one at such a point. To cut the first one at such a point. So now, when the two arcs meet, this becomes again our vertex V. Then we can join it to B and to C. To get the triangular face. to get the triangular face. So you see, that's a triangular face. We can do the same for C and D, phases CD, face CD. So we use standing at point D, we can make an arc 4 centimeters long. So 4 centimeters. 4 centimeters. So we make an arc. We make an arc 4 centimeters. Sorry. Yeah, we make an arc. An arc like that. Then standing at C, we have to cut now the first arc. Standing at C, we cut the first. Let me lengthen the first arc. Let me lengthen the first arc. Shall be passing at a point like that. That is the first arc. So standing at C, we can now cut the first arc. And it will be cut at a point here. This becomes our V. Then we can join point D and C to V to get our vertex up there. And also at this point. Then we do the same for line AD. Standing at D and using a radius of 4 centimeters, we can make an arc. Just want to establish an arc. Yeah, like that. So this is going to be, that is the arc using point D. Now we stand at point A and we cut the first arc. Standing at A, we cut the first arc. It will be cut at a point here. At a point there. This is point V. So we can now join. Can now join V to D and also V to A. V to A. Like that. So by such doing, we will have perfectly drawn the net. Perfect drawing of a net. So a net, one thing that you're supposed to know is that a net is an accurate diagram. Accurate diagram, not a sketch. Not a scale diagram. Let us check that. It's not a sketch. It's not a scale diagram. You cannot start letting G1 centimeter to represent what? No. It's supposed to be an accurate diagram. If you are told 4 centimeters, you draw 4. If you're told 3 centimeters, you draw 3 centimeters. So that is how you're supposed to draw a net. And when you look at a net, you should be able to say that in case you fold the faces that you've just opened out, you'll be able to come up with the solid. So we can fold back all our sloping faces until we get our solid, which was already drawn in number 16. So that is a very good question. And these are very key points that you're supposed to know as you approach mathematics. So that is the paper. You can be reminded of our programs here. We are doing a NEC program, NEC facilitated. You better join us. When you join us, you'll be able to know the examination tips that you need to know even before you sit for the national assessment. We are wishing you well. Join Shifting Grades Online School. Remember to subscribe. Remember to share so that you may invite your friends. We are having our guidance and counseling sessions. And for the first session, ladies and gentlemen, we are inviting a powerful speaker, a great motivational speaker, a teacher at Alliance High School, a founder, and also the CEO, Ambassador Foundation. So as we meet Sir Alex Kipruto-Mayo, I invite you to continue enrolling. Continue enrolling. We are charging only 500 for the motivation session. You can reach out through our number, which you already know. The tail number is 497742. After paying the 500, just inbox me through 0704153366 and to join the session. Those who are already taking part in our tuition program, they shall be enjoying the motivation talk for free. So thank you so much. See you in our next presentation. Bye-bye.